This is Dave Simon taking a look at the website of Music on the West Side. I When I first looked at this website, it really caught my attention. It just really clean design, really appealing, easy to look at. I love this picture of this kid playing guitar. I wish you could see a little bit more of his face, but I still think it really works. I like the lighting in the picture. It almost kind of blends in with the white uh, banner on top. And look at all the use of orange. You got this nice orange in the font. It's there in the logo. It's there in that note. Um, so good stuff all around. So now let's get into we're looking at the above the fold section here. I want to talk about what I'm seeing in the above the fold section that I could see changing. One is I feel like there's too many menu items up here on the top. Things like login and home, those could be removed. People know how to get back. Everyone knows now that that logo is going to get them home. And login is for your current students. I would put that under about. And same with if instrument rentals is a big part of the business, then maybe keep it there. If it's just kind of a smaller um, part of the business, and the really music on the West Side is about lessons and classes, I'd get rid of instrument rentals. I think it would be fine to have about instrument rentals, and maybe one other item. Maybe separate this into I'm not looking at it now. There's a lot of different things going on there, so maybe you could break that in the half and have about lessons, classes, and maybe contact. I think as long as the contact info, and it's down there on the bottom, I think that's key. Having the phone number in a button to make it pop out a little bit more, I think would be nice. But these social media icons here at the top, that's an invitation for visitors to leave your website. I would get rid of those. You want people on your website. More importantly, you want them to opt in, which brings up my next issue with the above the fold section is that there's no call to action. There's no opt in button. Really, the call to action is to leave the website. Look down here. Go to Facebook. Here's our email. Go to whatever this thing is. Just what is that? What is that? Yelp? I don't even know what that is. But I would get rid of that. Put a call to action button there. Maybe start today. Something that's a little more action oriented. Get started. Start today. Start learning. Ready to enroll. There's lots of different good call to actions, but I would put a call to action button there, and I would have it at least one more time on this homepage because somebody might not be ready to get started at this point, but they might be ready by the time they scroll to the bottom. Okay, so let's move onward. So, oh wait, actually, before I do, I want to take a look at this tagline. Kind of an important deal, and it's featured. It's prominently featured. We teach children to express themselves through music. Okay, that's I think pretty good. It's saying this, Donald Miller talks about the grunt test, that people should be able to look at your website and then within a couple seconds know exactly what you do. Well, here's what we do. We teach children to express themselves through music. The express themselves line, I could maybe see getting rid of that. It's a little esoteric. If a parent, I could see a parent not really being clear what that means, especially if they themselves aren't a musician. There are some things in some of the copy here that we'll look at in a second that really I can tell is written by a musician, and it should really should the writing should always be focused on the customer, using language that's really going to appeal to them. Not that expressing yourself through music's appealing. It's certainly appealing, but a parent might look at that and say, "I'm not exactly sure what that means." Um, if they said we teach children how to play music, well, that's certainly not as poetic, not as pretty as what's here. but the message is loud and clear to the visitor. Oh, this Music on the West Side, they're not a retail place. They're not a record store. This isn't a recording studio. They teach kids how to play music. And I think that would be fine to just come out and say that right there. Okay, so let's scroll down. I want to just quickly scroll down, get some quick impressions, and then talk about some of this copy here. So we see some pictures here, and it's defining the different programs they have, testimonials, and then there's the footer, and you got contact info there. Okay, so let's take a look at the copy here. I'm going to read it. First of all, just looking at it, I like that it's short. Short copy is always more likely to be read on the homepage. Maybe some people will dig in and read, but think of the mindset of a first-time visitor to your website. They're just trying to get a general impression, a general feel for what you're about, because they're trying to decide, am I going to click this button over here that says, get started today? That's that's really what we're trying to motivate the visitor to do. Okay, so music education helps develop a broader mind. It expands the capacity for reasoning, heightens one's senses, and improves physical dexterity. Music is one of humanity's deepest rivers of continuity. Okay, well written, pretty language, nice ideas, but the writer is making a case for music. It's not making a case for taking music or taking music lessons here at the studio. But I'm going to go ahead and read on. It connects each generation to those which have gone before. People use music to make connections to express what may otherwise be inexpressible. It is a language all of its own. Well written, but the message, I think, is so off the mark, because this is explaining to the reader, hey, music's this really great thing. It's going to expand your mind, heighten your senses, and it's going to help. It really taps into this deep part of the human experience. I don't think a parent's looking for that at this point. If any parent is on this website looking to enroll their child, they already are sold on this idea that music is going to be beneficial to their child. So I think that this language here was saying, we will help your child this way. Our goals for your child are this. Our hope for your child is this. We will help your child do this. Now it's all about the kid, and how we're going to take your kid to a better place in their life. So I would really go a whole nother direction with the messaging here. Clearly this person knows how to write, and they can write well. I would just have the message and the language be just a little bit more simple, avoid some of these bigger words, and make it so simple that a fifth grader can read it and understand it. Not that a fifth grader will be, but you want to keep the language really simple. You get some of the flowery language up here with express themselves. I'd keep the language super basic. Okay, so let's move on. So always a pet peeve of mine is seeing pictures of instruments, unless your business is selling instruments. But that's not what their business is. I'm not clear. The whole instrument rentals thing is throwing me off a little bit. So that would kind of make sense with this. Well, here it says classes. So yeah, I would like, this picture is great. Group music classes, showing kids engaged with the service is great. I think each one of these pictures could be that. Okay, we got hands on the piano. I want to see faces. I want to see people playing the piano. So this is really good here, these testimonials. I haven't read them, but they look short. They're not too long. It's not asking a lot of me. I'd maybe bump these up to maybe even here. And then maybe right underneath it, boom, call to action. Call to action being the same one that's going to be sitting up, that would be sitting up here, get started. I mean, really, if I'm visiting this website, that's going to, testimonials are going to sell me a lot more than some claim that someone's going to make about their greatness. But I think if this language really resonated with me and created an image in my mind of my child, which this doesn't, but if I could see my child here, I'd even be that much more likely to hit the call to action. So this here, I don't know. I could see keeping it. There's a look. Those things are listed up here. I think it's probably good to keep these, maybe with different images, maybe to get them all in one line, because it's taking up a whole screen listing these different programs. This isn't going to necessarily build desire. This is going to give me information. It's going to ask the question, what kind of lessons do they offer? You kind of get that here. This is going to build my desire. This is really going to make me curious about this studio. So I get that up there at the top. Okay, so those are my thoughts on Music on the West Side, and hope you find some of this information helpful.